Welcome to episode 2 of BS with Bethany Simcoe. Crazy, we are already at 2 episodes. Who even thought we'd get past 1? This episode is exciting because it's actually talking about the name, which we usually would talk about in a first episode. But that first episode, we talked about the 5 things that I learned moving across the country at 19, which was so fun. Also, just to clarify, I think I said it in a weird way. I'm 20 now. I was 19, had a birthday, new age, crazy. But today we're going to be talking about why in the world I named it BS with Bethany Simcoe. Of course, BS is my initials. Part of me wanted to say that BS was also like big sister with Bethany. Because I think part of my almost persona online is a big sister. Sometimes I feel like a big sister to you guys, or you even commented it, and that is so fun for me. So it's also part of the BS. I thought that was like a fun little Easter egg to work in. But the BS stands for Mom Plug Your Ears Bullshit with Bethany Simcoe. Because that's like my whole thing. I bullshit my way through life 110%. That's just kind of my thing. That's how I get shit done. BS with Bethany Simcoe is going to be a space for me to talk about the lessons that I've learned, the places where I really have stumbled, the places that I have questions in, to bring on guests that have kind of BS'd their way to where they are now. I already have some incredible people that are going to come on and talk about their careers and talk about the way that they have gotten to where they are now by some blood, sweat, and tears and just good old fashioned grit. And that's what this podcast really is about. Just good old fashioned grit coming from wherever you come from, making a name for yourself, making something out of yourself. Even right now, the entire setup is so BS. Like I have blankets set up all around to kind of like keep some of the noise from bouncing off the walls. I've got something like this backdrop is just set up. Like it's literally just a piece of cloth set up. I've got this thing anchored to a random like coffee table. This whole thing is so BS. The only legit thing here is the mic, and I got this from my friend. So we love BSing. You do not need to be perfect to start. You just need to freaking get your ass in gear and start. Even now, I don't know if I'm going to say everything right. I don't know if I'm going to say all the right words or get everything out. I might watch this back and like go, oh, dang it, I wish I said this, or why did I say that? But you will never say the right things if you don't start talking. You will never build the right business or make all the right moves if you don't start it. You will never get anywhere if you don't start moving. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. You got to use that momentum while you have it. And that's kind of like, again, the big premise behind this. That's how I live a lot of my life. If I wanted to get to Texas, I just had to go. If I wanted to start a podcast, I just had to go. I had the thought, there will never be a right moment. There will never be, if you're waiting for the right moment, there will never be one. You have to make it the right moment. Your momentum will make it the right moment. There's not a correct answer. You work until you make it work. You just got to stop thinking and start doing. That's my whole life motto and is working out pretty well so far. I'm still learning the balance of thinking before doing and doing before thinking. Like that's really such a balance. But I think the biggest thing that I can say from this is just do it. Just start building, start going. You'll figure it out on the way. What I talked about last time a lot is like taking the step and you'll grow into it. Right? Like moving down here, I grew into it. Starting TikTok, I grew into it. You will grow once you stretch yourself, but you will not grow if there's nowhere for you to grow. If you're like, okay, this is great, let's grow now. Where? Where are you going? What direction? You don't know because you haven't started. I mean, you probably do. There's probably something in your mind. You're like, oh, I really need to start that. Let's go. Incredible. Welcome home. I would love to say that I'm going to upload every week. And I would love to say that I'm going to be consistent with this. I am going to bring up a little caveat that this is going to be fun for me. This podcast is entertaining for me. It's a source of fun for me. It's not something that I am going to allow myself to stress out about. I want to keep it lighthearted. And once it becomes something I have to do and I'm dreading doing, then I know I'm not going in the right direction with it. Because I'm a girl who loves to think and I love to talk. And I can't let this be something that is stressful for me or is something that is just like another check on the to-do list. Because I wanted to stay lighthearted. I wanted to stay authentic. I love to talk about self-improvement, life lessons, therapy, questions I have, and there's a lot I still don't know. And sometimes I'm going to go back and call myself out for bullshit. Sometimes I'm going to go back and say, that was BS. So I'm reserving the right to go back to a situation once I've had a new perspective on it or learned something new about it. I'm reserving my right to say, okay, here's what I said. Here's what I think now. Because I think that's so powerful to be able to look at yourself and say, oh, I thought I had it all figured out and I really, really don't. So here's my new perspective on life. And my point is that I have no clue and I'm not going to hop on here and pretend that I do. Sometimes I'm going to come with questions and say, man, I have been struggling with this question this week. Here's the thing I'm struggling with. Here's the thing I don't know the answers to, but here's what I do know. Here's a lesson that I have learned. At the end of the day, I don't have the answers to everything, but I'm still showing up. And that is the beauty of this podcast. I'm still doing something I've always wanted to do. I might be doing it imperfectly. I might look back and say, what was I doing? I might learn along the way, but I won't start learning until I start learning. That sounds so simple. And I feel like I just mansplained all of that to you. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta dive right in. You just gotta talk about it until beat the horse till she's dead. You know what I mean? But this is kind of my way of reminding myself not to take life so seriously. So many things in my life are geared towards I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to have my own life. I want to have my own career, my own job. I don't want anyone else to tell me when I work. And like, honestly, a lot of that has just led to me working so much more. And I'm like, what is the point of working for myself and enjoying my life if I don't enjoy my life? So I've been thinking about that a lot. This is my reminder, just like life is not that serious. Why would I want to have this life of my own, money of my own? Why would I want these wonderful things in life? I'm not going to take a second to enjoy them and just hang out. That sentence of like human first, student second, or human first, business owner second, like those things, you got to experience being a human being before those things. And that's something I really have to work on. Life's not that serious. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And we love that. BS Bethany Simcoe. Man, I am good working that in. This is like me in my truest form is like this BSing. I've always been someone to like see a problem and like DIY my way out of it. If I need this massive console with my apartment, I'm going to scooch my chair up all the way. And if I need to go to Texas, I'm going to make it happen. If I need a podcast, I'm going to make it happen. And it might not be a great solution. Like I might duct tape something together that falls apart in 5 minutes, but guess what? I tried. I did it and I learned along the way. That's what's so fun. Now, listening to this, you can go, okay, well, you know what? Sometimes that's called hyper independence. Like that notion of like, yeah, I can do that. Everything that's in my head all the time. Like, yeah, I can do that. If I can visualize it, I can have it. Absolutely, I can have it. Like, I can do it myself. I don't need help. I got this. Watch me. That kind of thought. It does. It's like my superpower. That to me is my superpower. That is like my greatest strength. And I am aware that it crosses into a point of hyper independence at some point. That's something I want to be very careful about is to kind of like explore that balance and explore the line there and kind of decide the difference between, and I really don't know if we'll ever decide the difference between like resourcefulness and hyper independence. That's something I'm always gonna have to be figuring out for myself because I do love that I'm resourceful and that I have ingenuity. It's like my secret to success, but also gonna make my biggest downfall sometimes. So I think that's kind of like an interesting thing to look at, kind of a cool line to walk. Speaking of like my secret to success, I'm not saying that I am some crazy success, but that being said, I need to be careful about not downplaying the success that I've had. I think the way that you speak to and about yourself is so important. I know that I will be something incredible. I know that I am something incredible. I know that I've got so many dreams that I won't stop working at until they are reality. And so there's no other option than for me to be these things that I've dreamed of because, man, why would I be living a life without using every second of my day to get to exactly where I want to be? So for me, I know that I am going to be everything that I've always wanted to be because I will not stop working until I get there. And that's powerful that I can trust myself to do that. And even speaking that into existence is so powerful. That's what I challenge you guys to do is just like speak those things out into existence. Challenge your mind, challenge your brain to be a little delusional, right? That's like a whole thing now. It's like being delusional and just like being like, who in the world does that girl think she is? She thinks she's like the shit. Does she think that she's so cool? Yeah. If I don't think I'm the shit, who will? Like, you have to be the one person hyping yourself up 100% on your team. With that being said, there is nothing inherently special about me. There is not like a gene that me or anybody that you look up to or anybody that like even your like brother or your sister or a friend of yours who you're like, wow, or even like yourself. There is nothing that you are born with that is going to predetermine you for success. If you're like, man, I'm just going to be successful because that's who I am. Well, yeah, but also work at it. It is that determination to work. There is nothing in me except for a raging desire and intense knowledge that I will be something and that I will work for it. And I think you guys can kind of hear that in the way that I speak about it. Like there is just such a fire within me that I'm like, this has to have some outlet. It's got to go somewhere. There's got to be something that I was, like that I need to work for. But it's not, it's not unattainable to anyone. Anyone can be that. And hearing that on podcasts, I reiterate that because I have gained this mindset through podcasts that I listened to, through books that I read. And if I can pass that on to you, it'll be success to me because I hear these people who are now like crazy successful speak about themselves like that. They speak in this intense knowledge and desire that they are and that they will be something. It's within them. And the way that they spoke about it was so inspiring to me. And so I kind of adapted that. And it really has brought me to some incredible places. And I've already accomplished so many dreams of mine. I can't wait to see what I do accomplish. What I'm emphasizing here is that that mindset is it's available to everyone. It is open to anyone and everyone, and it is so within your reach. There is nothing special about them. There's nothing special about me except for that intense desire for whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be this crazy success. It can be that intense desire to go work at a coffee shop and make your life work on the beach. Like maybe that's your intense desire. Maybe that's just something that you are determined to make work. And you're like, if I don't have to work for 2 more seconds than I have to, and I can make a living, I'm going to do the damn thing. I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. Like whatever your dream is, it is 100% within you for a reason. And it is possible. You can BS your way there. That's the whole point with that one is that you can BS your way there. More intensity will turn into results, and it will turn into results because you did not relent. And that's amazing news because it means your path is attainable. I want this BS podcast to be a place where you can come and feel fully okay having questions, not knowing the answers, feeling like you're screwing up, feeling a little rough around the edges, and still knowing that you're going to be okay. Still knowing that you are going to BS this and it's going to happen and it's going to be okay. And maybe you're like, today was a bunch of bullshit. Today was awful. Or be like, I BS to this today. I made it happen. Like, whatever that is for you, I want you to know that, like, being rough around the edges, you're still going to be okay. Having a less than ideal day, perfectly fine. And I need to tell myself that as well. I think a lot of these things are like a little reminder for me to go listen to and be like, okay, all right, let's work on that. I think a lot of this really is like an audio journal for me to look back and like know what questions I had and know kind of things that are going to be relevant to me in the future, whatever I'm learning right now. Here's a little bit of like the second half of it. I guess, well, before we get into that, it's just some other things I kind of written down are like, if something has to be perfect, it'll never get done. So allowing things to imperfectly build and present it even imperfectly, I kind of want to emphasize. Like maybe sometimes I'll show up here in sweats or with the lighting being less than ideal, but that's important to me that I'm still showing up. It's important to me that I'm still making an effort to kind of talk about here when I have things to talk about, when I have a desire to speak about something, when I have a topic on mind that I feel is important. I don't care necessarily how I show up. I just want to show up. I feel like I hold myself to a standard of perfection for so long. That's something I really do struggle with. I'm on the constant journey to undo that, to dive in and kind of like challenge those thoughts. I have an episode planned where we dive really deep into that. But the purpose of the podcast really is to just not take it that seriously. Like it is okay. And like you'll get to where you need to go. Just BS it on your way there. Be like, yeah, this works. This is good enough. I guess. Yeah, sure. Go for it. So second half of this is, I did not come from money. Had 6 siblings. I really did kind of have to fend for myself. And if there was something that I needed, I kind of had to figure it out. I kind of had to be like, all right, take care of this. Mom has 6 other people, and I don't blame her for that. Like, it's not physically possible for her to take care of 7 children and give them everything they need. Something will drop. A ball will drop somewhere. There are needs that are not going to be met. But because of that, I had to learn how to fend for myself in a lot of ways. This podcast could have been called Screw It. It could have been called Just Go For It with Bethany Semko, because a lot of times I just say, screw it. And I take the leap. In high school, I had never cheered a day in my life. And one day I was like, man, I think I can do that. And I tried out for the cheer team and I got on. It was a miserable year. It was less than ideal. All right. That year cheering maybe wasn't the best choice. It was very interesting. Definitely interesting learning experience. But I still think it's kind of fun that I, said that for myself. And I was like, screw it, let's go. At one point, I was 15. I auditioned for The Voice. Who do I think I am auditioning for? The Voice. Clearly didn't go. Like, I didn't get on. That's so cool that I was like, amazing, let's go. Like, I look back at 15-year-old me and I was like, are we good? Like, go you, but holy cow. There are just so many things where it will just like BS it and then things come to fruition. Like, even with TikTok, I'm like, I'll just shoot the shit. I'll just get it out there and see what happens. And it's so powerful. Just be like, oh, I guess, like throw things to the wind. I started a clothing brand on a whim. I started a jewelry band when I was 15 because I wasn't allowed to have a job unless I was working with my dad and I was like, oh, I don't want that. So I'd be asked a little jewelry business or like photography. Like I just dabble in whatever until something clicks. Things like TikTok has clicked for me. I feel like this kind of clicks, but maybe we'll see. Who knows? And people who know me, especially from high school, they know the stupid amount of businesses that I have started. And that's probably one of my proudest and most embarrassing things. I struggle with the embarrassment of starting something and dropping off. People say you have to start something like 6 times until you find something that starts. And I was like, no, my first thing that I'm going to start is going to be perfect and it's going to succeed. Right. So that jewelry business, I was like, no, you guys don't understand. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life and be a boss babe. And I'm going to be doing this at 41. And I'm going to be having this jewelry business. Like, you don't understand. Okay, that lasted about like 2 years and I did do well. I did love it and it was exciting. Then I started a clothing brand. I'm like, this is gonna be my thing. I'm gonna be a designer. I'm gonna have this clothing brand. I'm gonna fly around. I had this huge business plan. I had these huge dreams. I don't do that anymore. Photography and other those things. I stuck with that one for years. Not really something I do anymore. There's just so many little things. I even had a social media agency. That was really fun. That was successful and it's time, but I dropped off on that. And there's so many things like that that I'm like, wow, is this going to be one of the other things that I just drop off on? But then I look back at everything I learned. I learned so much about running a clothing brand. Learned so much about customer service, talking to people, stocking products, pricing, business management. Like there's so many things that I learned, even if they weren't like something that stuck around. I'm learning so much along the way. And I'm learning what fulfills me. I'm BSing things until every little piece is starting to come into place. And it's really cool. Yeah, this does drop off. Even though the podcast was like a 1 year long kind of fun thing for me and I move on to the next. I'm going to learn so much through this. This is already so exciting. It's already teaching me so much. And I'm just BSing this. And I'm going to move on to the next thing and BS that too. Who knows? Maybe this will be around for 5 years, 10 years. We don't know. But I'm BSing it along the way. Mindset of what's the worst can happen and life's too short not to have really stuck with me. Things like this. Why wouldn't you start a podcast? Life's too short not to. I have a list on my phone of things that I have to do before I die. Like if I were to die happy, what would I have to do before I could die happy? And starting a podcast is on that list. And there's like a few other like crazy things on there, even on my goals for this year. This was one of my goals. And there's no reason to wait longer than I have to. Just start the podcast and just see what happens. Life is too short not to. If there's something that you're like, man, I really want to get into this, I really want to start, life is too short not to do it now. Like if it's been on your heart and if it's been on your mind, there's a reason it's there. And I'm a very firm believer that your dreams are put in your heart for a reason, right? Like you're not going to be like, wow, I really want to be a welder without like having the skills to be a welder or having the opportunities around you, because welding is not my dream. I'll tell you that right now. And there's a reason it's not my dream. But I feel like we get into a mindset, it's like, well, because me, I want to be, what song with the Pussycat Dolls when I grow up? Every lyric to that song, I mean with my heart and soul. Okay, that is like my dream. And I'm like, no, it's stupid. Everybody wants to be famous. No, not everyone wants to be famous, but I do. You'll just downplay yourself. Oh, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. No, not everyone does, but I do. And I need to not downplay that. Or like, I love to sing and I love to release like a single or release like a song at some point. I'm like, oh, that's so stupid. Like every kid wants to grow up and like sing or like release a song or whatever. I'm like, no, like those things are put in your heart for a reason. And whatever that is for you, if you want to be like a designer and you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like everyone wants to be a designer or a ballerina or whatever it is, those things are put in your heart for a reason and they are achievable to you. And that's so powerful. I'm so intent on living and experiencing every emotion that life has to bring to me. I want like the whole big wide world at my fingertips. I don't know if you guys, like, I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with that. Like, there's just so much in this world that I want to experience, that I want to like see and I want to feel. And BSing it is kind of my way of getting there. I'm like, that's how it was in Hawaii. I booked the ticket. And then like 2 weeks before, I was like, shit, I don't have a place to stay. I don't know what I'm going to be doing there. And even there, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So, but that was so exciting. I just got to go experience that. So wherever I go, I'm going to BS it on my way there. And I think that's a powerful thing that I've had to embrace, is learning that, yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be so fun. And it's going to be everything that it needs to be. Because while life is too short to not do what you want, and you're going to look back and be like, yeah, cool, I did that. That's awesome. People always say like, it's going to start to look back and be like, you could have done so much more. But I really do believe that, like looking back and like seeing your embarrassments and your failures, that's going to be so cool because you're going to be like, I really dug in and I really failed there and I fell hard. How cool is that? Because I tried. At least I tried, And like looking back, and it does take some compassion to yourself because I know that I look back on like my businesses and be like, oh, that technically probably was called a failure. I think with Shop Simco, like I'll be so honest, I don't think I had like a net profit with that. I really do think that I did not know what was going on, but I sure as hell had fun with it. And I stopped because I was like, well, I am pouring a lot into this. I learned a lot, but I am A-okay being done. That's technically considered a failure. I think it was such a success. It inspired me. It was exciting for me for the time. And I learned that, you know what? Maybe I don't like the behind the scenes of business as much. Maybe I like creating a lot more. So looking back at things or becoming new is just, I don't know. It's so exciting. This just really does excite me. That is kind of all that I had on how BS came to be, besides the name that, my parents have blessed me with. They have dubbed me with, which by the way, I will be keeping for the rest of my life. I think I've talked about that before. Not gonna be taking a husband last name or changing my name ever. So that's exciting to me. I feel like it's like powerful to me just be like, yeah, I built who Bethany Simcoe is. I built this brand around Bethany Simcoe, BS, and that's who I'm always going to be. I think it is really fun. Would love to hear from you guys if there are things that you want to know a little bit more about. Again, this is a little bit of like an audio journal for me. I definitely do want you guys to be able to get something out of this, things that are important to you, things that you feel like are going to help you. So if there are things that you would like me to address more or talk about, or ways that you would like me to kind of go about topics a little bit more that would be more helpful for you, or that you feel like would just expand. I think this is just like a platform for expansion and we'll try it out. It does work. If I hate it, if I love it, we'll kind of stick with it. You guys are always more than welcome to DM me with comments on both my Instagram, like my main Instagram page, just Bethany with two Y's, Sinko, Simco, or the podcast name, which right now is BS with Bethany Simco, because BS podcast was taken by a 12-year-old. So that's not going to work out. We can't have that username, but that's always going to be available. You guys are always more than welcome to DM me, comment on things, tag me in things. I would love to communicate with you as a community. It's just me behind this, so I will always see that and I will always hang out with you, answer your questions. If there is anything else, you know where to find me. And that has been episode 2. I will see you when I see you.